Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send me a donation at email is talkfreeyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Peace. What it is your brother Tyrone Sueno, aka the Orthodox Moor, aka the Seven Pillar Saracen. And real quick, I wanted to address this very sad topic of the Chadwick Boseman dying of cancer at the age of 43, colon cancer to be specific. And I'm coming here under my Unified Solutions banner because this is a topic that I think affects all of us. I don't know anybody who doesn't either know somebody with cancer, has either experienced cancer themselves, or like I said, like has cancer in the family, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So this is a very, very serious topic I wanted to get out there. And this is not clickbait, nothing like that. I wanted to use this as an educational moment for the people. Both of my parents have had cancer. I've had cancer. And I wanted to take this moment to kind of educate people on some things they may not have known about cancer. Hold on real quick. I got one of my brothers in the back. Shalom, that's my brother Yashar. Yeah, we on the Debate Talk For You platform, so no profanity, correct?
Gotcha.
So yeah, right now we're addressing the concept of cancer and Brother Chadwick Boseman dying of cancer at the age of 43. Were you aware of that or no? I'm sure you were. Everyone is at this juncture.
Yeah. I seen it yesterday, bro.
Yeah, so a lot of people get at me behind the scenes because I help them out with things they can take that help them alleviate their body of such things and whatnot. And so I want to just jump on right quick and kind of give some people some information they may not know about, may not have, and let them know how they can avoid such situations and whatnot. There's a bunch of situations, a bunch of ways to do it or whatnot. There's diet and all kind of stuff. I'm not going to touch on the diet stuff because there's a million and one sources of information on that. But I'm going to play a couple of videos that I've already made and put out there that are archived or whatnot. I wanted to archive them on one spot together for the people or whatnot.
Okay, that sounds good, bro. I'll do. I'm here for your support. You know.
Yeah, no worries.
And this is a topic that I actually can learn from because I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't have anybody in my family that any males in my family that has been diagnosed with it, so I don't know too much about it. Neither have I took the time to research it. So this is a great opportunity for me to learn as well as support you, bro.
No, all praise to the Most High that you actually don't know about this because of personal circumstances. That's actually a wonderful thing to hear. I'm going to try to educate people here on just one aspect of some methods to deal with cancer and whatnot via some methods that I was able to use and I utilize for a lot of other people. Like I said, there's a lot of people like from the SVDL League, people from the tanks, etc., whatnot, that get at me about this information on the side or whatnot. And for anybody who has questions about cancer, etc., whatnot, and things they can do or whatnot, you can email me at theorthodoxmoor@gmail.com. And I will definitely get at you about this. I have a set of emails that I forward to people about this whole concept and whatnot. Because cancer is a very, very, very scary subject. I mean, typically when people hear that term cancer, they think it like it just equates to killer right off the top. And so I wanted to show people, as someone who's had to stare down the barrel of cancer myself, and also help other people do it themselves and hold their hands through it and whatnot. I wanted to let people know that even though you see someone like Chadwick Boseman, you know what I'm saying, the Black Panther, whatnot, he got a lot of money, etc., whatnot. Even though he died of cancer at 43, a young, strong age or whatnot, you don't have to. You don't have to. You can be older and not have to die of cancer. You can be younger and not have to die of cancer. Just because he was a rich dude in Hollywood and an actor and whatnot and prominent and whatnot, it doesn't make him bulletproof and whatnot, right? But at the same point in time, he wasn't doing things that he could have done to avoid this. So he was taking like the chemotherapy that the doctors give you and the radiation that the doctors give you, etc., whatnot, all them type of things, right? And while I'm talking about this, let me just go ahead and share my screen right quick. Let me just Chrome tab it. But yeah, so the brother had colon cancer. That's a nasty cancer to die from. And I feel bad for him because he lost a lot of weight and a lot of things like that. I've seen people die of cancer, and it's not a pretty thing to die from. So a lot of people are going to see this and get even more afraid when they hear the cancer. We're like, man, if it can get the Black Panther, it can get me too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the truth is anybody can get cancer. However, it doesn't have to be something you have to be afraid of, because the Most High made our bodies in such a way to where if we put the right things in it, it will take care of itself. It doesn't got to be a real complicated process. If you put poison in it, you're going to get poisonous results. But if you put things in it to purify it, you're going to get purification results. And so what I'm going to show here is some information in terms of how to purify it from within, and how to help the cancer, help the body see the cancer. Because a lot of people don't recognize that with cancer, the reason that it even spreads in the body is because your immune system doesn't see it. It's literally it's like a rogue agent in your system that your body doesn't even see. And so the reason why people get skinny and lose all that weight is because the body is eating itself, trying to find the cancer. And so before I can go on a long diatribe about that. But what I want to just break down here is one of the main reasons why I'm on this unified solutions tip is I'm working with a whole bunch of brothers and whatnot at this juncture to be able to help build infrastructure to help our people be alleviated from this particular illness and others. So after I play these videos that I've already made and whatnot, I'm gonna definitely be trying to talk about like how we can unify on these concepts and work together to help our community be alleviated from this. Because if we don't work together to alleviate ourselves from this stuff, no one else is going to do it. In fact, other people make money off of us not being able to alleviate ourselves from this illness. I'm gonna say that one more time. If we don't alleviate ourselves of this illness, no one else is going to do it, because other people make money off of us not being able to be alleviated from this illness. I pray that makes sense to everybody. But yeah, in honor of Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P. brother man, I got a couple of videos I'm about to play. Let me share my screen one more again.
A real serious topic that a lot of people are dealing with right now. And that is the topic of cancer. So real recently, I came into the knowledge that I have cancer. And it took me about a good week to wrestle with the concept a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It's not something that's foreign to me. I've helped a lot of people get through cancer. And it was something I've been preparing myself for, realistically, because my father had prostate cancer on top of a couple other cancers. And my mother had to get her ovaries removed because of cancer she had. And she's had cancer twice as well. And so knowing that both of my parents had multiple cancers and whatnot, I consistently was in the shower checking myself for lumps and this, that, and the third, making sure I could jump out ahead of anything in case I ever got anything. So at one point, a few weeks ago, I want to actually as long as a few weeks ago, I'm actually like probably 2.5 months into it at this juncture. I found a lump while I was in the shower, and on top of that, found out that after, you know what I'm saying, after I found the lump, had to go deal with something real quick. You know what I'm saying? I found out that the white blood cell count was elevated. My spleen was enlarged, etc. Prostate was a lot larger than what it should be. Found out your boy got prostate cancer. Again, not something that shocked me in any way, shape, or form, because I was actually expecting at one point to get cancer based upon my parents having it, etc. But at the same point in time, it didn't knock me over like it knocks a lot of people over. And there's a reason for that. That's because, like I said, I've been dealing with treating people, or I won't say treating people, helping people find therapies for themselves, because I'm not a doctor, right? I can't medically treat anybody. And I'm not going to attempt to medically treat anybody over the internet. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for myself, and what people can do for themselves if they so choose. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for myself based upon what I've seen work in the past for multitudes of other people, based upon research that I've done and we've implemented in multiple people's lives and whatnot. So this is research that's been implemented against, like I was saying, prostate cancer, cervical cancer, gastrointestinal cancers, multiple different kinds, stomach cancer, breast cancer, skin cancer. Let's see, what else would I know with? I may have dealt with lung cancer. I'm not certain. I might be dealing with that one in the future. We'll see. But there's a lot of different cancers that I've helped people find therapies for that they found very beneficial, And I can tell you, and I'll show you in the future some stuff that I'm talking about. Like my father ended up passing because of something else, but he was able to beat the cancer. My mother was able to get over her cancer in a time period that shocked her doctor. Both of which, and I'm going to get into this now. Let me share my screen. Both of which used traditional means, i.e., like the chemotherapy and the radio. Let me just share my screen real quick. Both of which use the chemotherapy and the radiation therapy, but they also use something else. And this is what I want to break down to people. So real quick, what do you do when you find out you have cancer? What therapy do you choose? You can see in the title that I'm choosing something called mysotherapy. I'm going to break that one down. But first, let me just break this down. There are multiple forms of therapy for the various forms of cancer. Multiple forms. There's chemotherapy. Everyone knows that one. There's radiation therapy. There's hormone therapy, gene therapy, surgery, and alternative therapies. People don't have to choose just one form of therapy for cancer. A lot of people feel like, oh, you got to just do it this way. You got to do it that way. You have to do chemo. You have to do radiation, etc. But that's not the case. That is not the case. You don't have to just do one or the other. You can mix and match and do all kind of crazy stuff with that. There's a certain form of therapies that a lot of people aren't even aware of called adjuvant or adjunct therapies. These therapies can be added on to other forms of therapy. And they don't hinder or alter the form of therapy that you're under. So for instance, my parents, they used chemo and radiation. They also used an adjuvant/adjunct therapy, which is the one I'll be talking about, which is mysotherapy. Mysotherapy is a word that I put together. Myso meaning mushroom, therapy it is what it is. So it's mushroom therapy, medicinal mushroom therapy. I am using the adjuvant therapy and adjunct therapy of medicinal mushrooms, the mycel therapy, like I just said. I'm also using alternative therapies such as dietary means and herbal supplementation. Those will be the only methods of therapy that I will use. And I'm going to map them out for people so people can see what's going on, and can see my progress or my digressions if I make one. I can tell you now that I've actually made a lot of progress in the past couple months. So I don't see any digressions being made. I cannot and I will not use chemotherapy or radiation therapy. One, chemotherapy is literally against my religion. Chemoradiation therapy, literally against my religion. For me, I consider that pharmakia. I consider that a form of witchcraft. It's not healthy to the body. I will not use them because chemotherapy and radiation are literally designed as the form of therapy. They're designed to kill you as the host, to starve the cancer. I don't think that's a smart form of therapy. I don't think trying to kill the host is the best way of going about things. I think you should starve the cancer while feeding the host and figure out how to do that. I can't use chemotherapy and radiation therapy because it's too draining on the body. And I'm a caretaker of some elderly people in my family. So I don't have the option of being able to go through a physically draining process. And there's literally no one else in my family that can help. There's no one else out. My family has these people got no one else. I don't have the option of draining myself going through these therapies. So what I do is I make sure I eat enough. I eat enough to make sure I keep my weight on, and I institute these adjuvant therapies I'm talking. So real quick, how can medicinal mushrooms aid as an adjuvant/adjunct therapy? How can they? Like this is the big reason. This is the big deal right here, and this is why I'm sticking to this. Because I know these to be facts. I know these to be true. I know the studies behind these. I'll be breaking those down on further videos, etc. But here I just want to keep it real bare bones and basic for people who just want to deal with something or want to get some clarity on something or get some education on something. This I'll get way deeper, but this is just real simplified. One, there's a mushroom called turkey tail. Now, what this mushroom does is it labels the cancer cells in the body so that the body can actually see them. Cancer cells, typically, they go around undetected by the body. The white blood cells, their job is to go around and hunt down anything that's foreign to the body, kill it, and eradicate it. Right? The white blood cells cannot do this with cancer cells because they literally cannot see the cancer cells. Like the white blood cells are mobbing around like policemen with their flashlights out, you know what I'm saying? But the cancer cells are literally cloaked. They have a cloaking device to where the white blood cell can flash the flashlight on them, but they still can't see them. So that's the main issue when dealing with cancer, is the fact that cancer can proliferate in the body. It can separate, it can multiply in the body without being seen. That's why it does so much damage so quick. What turkey tail mushrooms do is they label the cancer cells so that the white blood cells can actually see them and attack them and eradicate them. And what they also do is they put a protective layer, a protective chemo layering on the healthy cells that have not been affected by cancer yet. So on the one hand, they label the cancer cells so the white blood cells can see them, but they also protect the healthy cells so they don't get cancer. That's extremely important when dealing with cancer therapy. Extremely important. Also, turkey tail mushrooms have the ability to help you pass on radiation when you're going through chemotherapy and radiation therapy. They actually, turkey tail mushrooms can actually help you deal with the effects thereof. So even though I'm not going through chemo and radiation, and I'm not going to go through it, for the people who are going to go through, turkey tail can greatly help you deal with the nausea, with the with the passing the radiation through the body that lingers and whatnot, the free radicals, etc., that linger, etc. When you're having radiation therapy. I can tell you personally, I've witnessed this myself. I've witnessed people who are not taking turkey tail and doing radiation therapy, and I've witnessed people who are taking turkey tail and doing twice as much radiation therapy and having an easier time with it than the people who are having less radiation therapy and not taking the turkey tail. I've seen this with my own 2 eyes. If I'll tell you like this, if I could only take one mushroom and I had cancer, it would be turkey tail, just for the simple things that I'm saying right here, because it labels the cancer for the body to see. But moving on. There's a mushroom out there called maitake. This mushroom has the ability to dramatically increase the death rate of cancerous tumors. Dramatically. So if you're taking any other therapy, right, and let's say you have tumors or whatnot, you want to see them come down faster. With any method that you're taking, again, this works with chemotherapy and with radiation. The maitake will dramatically increase the death rate of the tumor, i.e. the rate at which it dies, the necrosis rate, the necrosis factor. It turns the tumor from a living tumor to a necrotic tumor, a dead tumor. And then it starts to fall away, starts to just disappear bit by bit. What maitake also has the ability to do is modulate glucose. Let's say me as an individual, I'll say this: I have a lot of people in my family, and a lot of our people have this issue. A lot of people in my family have diabetes, and for instance, I got plenty of people taking metformin, etc. in my family. For y'all dealing with diabetes, you already know what that is and the issues that come with that, right? And I'll say like this: here's another reason. The side effects that come along with things like the metformin, etc., and chemotherapy and radiation. Like there's another reason why I cannot and will not deal with things like that, because one of the side effects is a foggy brain and not being able to think clearly and whatnot. And again, I've witnessed this firsthand. I don't have the luxury of being able to not think clearly. I have people that depend on it, so I need to have a clear brain at all times. So I need to make sure that I'm using a therapy that treats my body, but also does not affect my mind. And the thing about all these mushrooms is none of them have a negative side effect. You're not going to be allergic to them either. You're not going to be allergic to them because 30% of our DNA actually is patterned and it uses the same DNA sequencing as mushrooms. And as a matter of fact, the part of our DNA that uses the same sequencing is our immune system. So you're not going to be allergic to them. You can't take too much of them, and they're not going to have any negative side effect. In fact, they only have positive side effects. I've never implemented this for someone who had a negative side effect with it. The only negative side effect that one might be able to complain of is if you have to take an extremely large amount, like you're trying to knock out some heavy cancer, like straight off the top. You might experience some loose bowel movements because of the fiber, because mushrooms are fibers. But beyond that, like having a clear system is not actually a bad thing. That's like the worst thing you can think about when dealing with these things. But that's if you have to take an extreme amount. Like we're talking extreme amount. Most people will never have to take the amount that would take to give you the runs or something like that. But moving on. Agaricus blazei also is another mushroom that has the ability to dramatically increase the death rate of cancerous tumors. So if someone has cancer or someone has tumors or whatnot, and they want those to go down really fast, maitake and Agaricus blazei dramatically help as an adjuvant therapy with any of the therapy that you want to take to decrease increase the death rate of the cancerous tumor. Not only that, they have the ability to help with the turkey tail. When you take those 2 and 3 together, they help with ensuring that you don't have something called metastasis, which is when the cancer spreads from one part of the body to the next. Those 3 top mushrooms at the top of the list will dramatically help in dealing with the concept of metastasis and ensuring that it avoids metastasis from happening. Moving on. Reishi is another mushroom that's very, very powerful when dealing with a mysotherapy for cancer therapies, etc. Reishi can increase something called NK cells. Most of these do that as well, but this is very powerful in this sense. NK cells are natural killer cells. Like, these are the ones with the flashlight I'm saying, looking for the foreign bodies in the system. These are the ones who want to take out the cancer. They just can't see it. But when you give the body turkey tail, it can now see it. These things, reishi helps produce more of those, so that knocks them out real quick, right? It's like a calling all cars kind of a thing, right? It's also a very, very, very strong anti-inflammatory that's not negative on our system. Most people of African descent, if they take chemical-based anti-inflammatories, they'll end up having kidney issues over a long period of time. And so if you're put on a stip, for instance, it's been shown that reishi in studies is comparable to prednisone. Prednisone is an extremely strong steroid and anti-inflammatory, but it also has the ability, when you take it over time, it decreases muscle tissue. Reishi does not have that side effect. You get a very similar, comparable amount of a steroid-like anti-inflammatory with no attack on the kidney and no decrease of muscle tissue. In fact, if you take reishi, it actually increases growth of certain tissues. Like, you'll notice that you'll have to start clipping your nails and cutting your hair a little bit more often when you take reishi. It increases growth factors. It doesn't decrease them. So you don't have to worry about muscle loss or kidney damage with reishi. On top of that, another mushroom that increases NK cells and other things is cordyceps. The interesting thing about cordyceps, again, this is like a calling all cars kind of a situation with the reishi, to where it helps produce more of the fighting cells to go against the cancer. But at the same point in time, you don't want too many white blood cells in your system. If you have too many white blood cells in your system, it's gonna give your spleen issues, and they're gonna start eating you. They're gonna start eating you. You don't want that. You want just the right amount of white blood cells to do the job. You don't want too many troops on the field. They start stepping on each other. You want just the right amount of troops to take out what you need to. And with a lot of these things, it's like a special forces kind of a thing. They get into the job and get out. You don't need a bunch of troops on the field, right? So the thing about the cordyceps is what they have the ability to do is modulate the overproduction of white blood cells. When you start getting past the point to where you're producing more than what you need, the cordyceps kick in and say, no, stop. Slow down production real quick. We got enough troops on the field. Leave the rest in reserve till I holler at you real quick. Like that's a very big thing. That's very important. I'm taking a lot of those right now myself, because, for instance, that was one of the things that I was dealing with a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. Well, actually, no, it started 2 months ago. 2.5 months ago, I found a lump. 2 months ago is when I noticed my spleen starting to enlarge. And that's when, that's a bad day, man. You'll know your spleen's enlarged too when it starts to happen. When you're producing enough white blood cells to recognize that your spleen's enlarged, that's a bad day. You're producing like probably 7 times more than what you need. And that's no good. So that's something I've had to focus on dramatically. One, the turkey tail helped direct the white blood cells to where to go, so now just standing around on the battlefield. But 2, the cordyceps is helping not overproduce the white blood cells. Now I'm going to jump into a couple specific kinds of cancer treatments real quick. Because what I just mentioned beforehand, those other mushrooms from turkey tail, maitake, agaricus, spacei, reishi, the cordyceps, that's good for like just general stuff, right? But there's a couple different cancers I want to talk about in particular that our community is dealing with, that no one's really addressing, and no one from an outside community is going to address for us. One, I'm going to talk about something going on in the South that affected my father and a bunch of other people, and it's still affecting people. For instance, those who are veterans and whatnot, is people who were affected by dioxins and things like Agent Orange. dioxin-like chemicals that were buried in the South by chemical manufacturing companies, and our veterans who were sent to Vietnam and were hit with Agent Orange. Now, what these dioxins do is they're designed to make plant life die and not reproduce. They're designed to take out the reproduction rate of vegetation. So let me say it like this: like, so when they were using this in Vietnam, the whole point of them dropping Agent Orange on the forest and whatnot was to kill the forest, so our troops weren't getting messed up in guerrilla warfare, because the Viet Cong were messing us up in guerrilla warfare. They were masters of their jungle, so we took out their jungle so they couldn't be masters of it. Anything strong enough to kill a forest is strong enough to kill you. One more time, anything strong enough to kill a forest is strong enough to kill you. So when you see people spraying these dioxins on their weeds and this, that, and the third, it's going into the ground, going into the groundwater, all that kind of stuff there. And this is what they found out in places like Alabama, where my father's from, and in other places in the South, where a large amount of chemicals were dumped into rivers, lakes, buried next to rivers, dumped in the ground, people planting on top of that ground, all that kind of stuff. In the South, there's epidemics right now of people getting dioxin-related cancers. Dioxin-related cancer. And so there's a certain family of mushrooms that specifically remediate or repair the damage done from dioxins and whatnot. Because what the dioxins actually do is they actually start to rewrite your DNA. They reprogram your DNA. These mushrooms actually unprogram the programming that the dioxin does and cleans it out of your system. These are oyster mushrooms. And in certain families thereof within the oyster, like certain specific ones in the oyster family. This is a very, very, very big deal for us to know about as a community. We're not being marketed this product in any way, shape, or form. And we need to market it to ourselves and make it for ourselves right now, because our people are dying and they can't get the dioxin out of their system with whatever cancer treatment that they're taking. The cancer isn't even the issue when it comes to the dioxin-related cancers. The dioxin is the issue. The cancer is a byproduct. You knock out the dioxin, you can actually start treating the cancer. You can't treat the cancer without treating the dioxin. So anybody who got family in the South right now, y'all know what I'm talking about. Not only are people getting ravaged just east to west coast and all the type of, but in the South, y'all know what it is. There's all kind of lawsuits popping off, all kind of stuff. People not getting paid. People, when they do get paid, they're not getting the treatment they need, etc. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And on top of that, we got our people who are military veterans. Y'all already know the Operation Black Shield concept, right? Our military vets were put on. Like, my father was loading and unloading this stuff off of planes. You understand what I'm saying? He had no idea. He told me straight up, and like, we were not given any kind of info as to what that stuff was. I did not know that my government was poisoning me. That's what my pop said. My pop, before he died, commissioned me. He made me promise him to go join the fight with the veterans fighting the government to get compensation for them being dealt with Agent Orange and whatnot. And part of that is part of that promise was I had to develop products to help them out. We were able to defeat the cancer at one point, but then we found out we couldn't beat the dioxin, and we found out about this stuff too late. It was too late. My dad didn't have enough to fight on with it. It was way too late. The dioxin, like I'm saying, the dioxin reprograms your body to shut down. Just like it reprograms a forest to just shut down and die and not reproduce. But if my father was able to get enough of this in time, he would have been good money. Good money. And I'll break that down in a future video. But another thing that's affecting our community that a lot of us don't even think of is skin cancer. I'm talking specifically about the African albinos. They have a high rate of skin cancer, obviously, and they have a hard time getting treatment where they're at. In a lot of places where they live in Africa, they're not even seen as human beings. So they don't get the medical treatment that they need. The poorest so-called European in America is getting more treatment for their skin cancer than the richest albino in Africa. You see what I'm saying?
Look at all these places with the nuclear.
And to that effect, there's 2 mushrooms in particular that have the ability to specifically knock out what they're dealing with in a very potent way. Chaga, when wood grown, can contain something called beta-lunic acid. Betalin and beta-lunic acid are specifically toxic to melanoma. On top of that, chaga is a natural source of melanin. So you can already see where that's going to be beneficial to somebody who has melanoma. Birch polypore grows on the same wood, the same trees that chaga grows on, and it also can contain beta-lunic acid. I should have put that in. It says beta-lunic. It's like, it should say betalin and beta-lunic acid. My fault. Again, betalin and beta-lunic acid are specifically toxic to melanoma. Specifically toxic to melanoma. It kills melanoma. It kills skin cancer. It's toxic to it. These are just some of the ways that medicinal mushrooms can be beneficial as an adjuvant or adjunct therapy when dealing with cancer. Whatever you want to throw this on top of, whatever form of therapy that you use, these will not harm those therapies. These will help those therapies out. When you're going to go pick out medicinal mushroom products, there's a few things that you need to understand, though, because not all medicinal mushroom products are created equal. Some of the most expensive products are not good at all, and some of the cheapest products can deliver more potency than the expensive products. At the end of the day, it all depends on the method of manufacturing and how the product is made. So this is where y'all need to pay attention. And I'll put these notes in the description. I'll be putting a link to the Facebook page of this that this file is on below. So y'all, I really want y'all to pay attention to this part here, because I'm gonna be going into this in more detail in the future. But this is some real basic stuff for you to look to be able to be an educated consumer with right here. So first and foremost, mushroom extracts are better than mushroom powders. Mushroom extracts are better than mushroom powders. Mushroom extracts are you take a bunch of mushrooms and you either soak them in alcohol or you boil them down in water and you leach out particular chemicals from them. So you don't have to break down the actual fiber from the mushroom. Mushroom powders are basically just dried mushrooms ground into a powder. And on top of that, the mushroom powders are less potent than the extracts. The mushroom powders are less potent than the extracts and have the ability to lose their potency faster over time. Now, when it comes to extracts, hot water extracts are better than alcohol-based extracts. In most cases, there's very few cases to where you want the alcohol extract of a mushroom. And I'll go into that in the future, but 9 times out of 10, and for all the mushrooms that are listed above, the hot water extracts are better than the alcohol-based extracts. They actually extract more of what you need, and it's more absorbable to the body. They absorb, it gets more of what you need, and it's more absorbable to the body, and it will last longer than the alcohol based. In terms of the part that's good for you. There's things that will last in the alcohol for a long time, but the stuff that you need is best found in the hot water extracts. Wood grown mushrooms are better than rice and oat grown mushrooms, 9 times out of 10. Mushrooms specifically get their nutrition and medicinal benefits more often than not all the time, but more often than not, they get their medicinal benefits from the wood that they're growing on. For instance, like I said earlier, that chaga and birch polypore, they both grow on the same tree, and there's a chemical in the bark of that tree called beta-lunic acid. Now, you and I cannot eat the bark of that tree or boil the bark of that tree and get the beta-glucanic acid out. However, the chaga pre-digests it. The birch polypore pre-digests it, and in the form that it digests within the chaga and birch polypore, we can extract it from the chaga and the birch polypore. So if I were to grow chaga and birch polypore on something that was not the birch tree, I'm not going to get that medicinal benefit out of it. A lot of people try to cheat the process by growing mushrooms on rice and oats to make it happen faster. Now, you can get some medicinal benefits that way, but you're not always going to get all the medicinal benefits. Again, I cannot grow chaga and birch polypore on rice and oats and get the beta-glucanic acid I'm looking for from the birch tree. Last but not least, most often, fruit bodies are better than mycelium-based products. Fruit bodies are, let me scroll to the top. They're the part that you actually see when a mushroom is on top of the ground or on a piece of wood or something like that. That's the part that you see. Mycelium is the stringy stuff underneath the ground or within the wood that you don't see. And so what a lot of people do is they'll grow mycelium on rice and oats because they can grow mycelium on rice and oats faster than what it takes to get fruit bodies off of wood. So commercially, it makes more sense for them to grow it on rice and oats and get mycelium versus the time and length that it takes to get the fruit bodies off the wood. So think of mycelium as like sprouts versus a whole plant. They're raising sprouts and selling sprouts versus giving you the whole plant. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, the fruit body is going to be more potent for you than the mycelium. Now, again, not all the time. There's certain things that you can get out the mycelium, but it's not like, so I can get health benefits out of chaga mycelium, birch pore mycelium, turkey tail mycelium, etc. But when I'm looking for that real potent stuff, I have to go for the fruit body or the sclerotia, which is chaga. That's a technical term, sclerotia. I'll get to that way later when I do a big video on chaga. My apologies for that one. That's a $10 word for something real simple. It'll take me time to break that one down. Where was I at? So one more time, I'm going to run through this. Mushroom extracts are better than mushroom powders. Hot water extracts are better than alcohol-based extracts. Wood-grown mushrooms are better than rice and oat-grown mushrooms. And more often than not, fruit bodies are better than mycelium products. If you have any questions about that at all, please put them down below. Please go to this post on the Facebook link that I'm sending you and put them there, etc. Because I want to answer any questions y'all got on this stuff. Again, I touched on this, like 3 big cancer epidemics facing our community. I touched on the basic rise in cancer in the community, period. Everyone knows somebody with cancer. Everybody knows somebody with cancer. Many people in the South were exposed to Agent Orange, like toxins, and have dioxin-based cancers. And like I'm saying, all my people in the league, like in the South and whatnot, y'all can speak on this. I know my family was getting all kind of paperwork for lawsuits that they were part of and all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I didn't qualify because I was too far removed from the situation and whatnot. But like, yeah, there was a lot of people involved in lawsuits and whatnot, particularly in Alabama. I don't like, y'all can speak to other spots and whatnot, but I know for a fact Alabama was heavily affected by this and is currently heavily affected by this. These dioxin-based cancers are no joke, fam, and is epidemic. Like, they're not trying to, like, y'all gotta understand, until they clean up the water and the earth through proper remediation, which they would need these mushrooms for to do anyway, people are gonna keep getting sick generation after generation after generation. It's in the ground. It ain't going nowhere. It's in the ground. It's in the water. Not going nowhere. And again, like you heard me talk about, we have our African albino brethren who need help with their therapies for their skin cancer. They're not even seen as human over there, much less people feeling like people feel like they're wasting money on giving them treatment. Does that make sense? How about this? In Africa, I can make more money giving a South African Dutch person, South African English person, skin cancer therapy than I can giving it to one of our people who need it. Why would I do that? They're just gonna get chopped up by a witch doctor. Do you feel what I'm saying? Like, fam, that's crazy over there. That's epidemic to me. You got people who are born albinos, as African as the next person. Didn't choose to be born albino, didn't ask to be born albino. As African as the next person, getting killed by the sundown. And our people are just watching it happen. When I was helping my mother out with her cancer and whatnot, we were watching a documentary on skin cancer in the albinos in Africa and whatnot. And it wasn't about skin cancer, it was about the treatment of the albinos. They talked about skin cancer. And she saw one that had all these big tumors on the outside of their body and whatnot, and face and all kind of stuff, and was pretty much blind with their albinism and whatnot. And it broke my mother's heart. My mother made me promise to do something about that. It broke my heart. I had no issue saying I would promise to do something about that. Because we got people getting all kind of expensive cancer treatments all day from European descent on this skin cancer, but we're not doing nothing to help our people with our people's skin cancer. So to that end, while I'm on my own personal journey of my adjuvant therapies and alternative therapies in dealing with my cancer situation, I'm going to be asking for help from our community to deal with community solutions and how to deal with these big epidemics. I'm not trying to make a buck off this. I'm actually trying to do this in a sense to where we can give jobs to our community and produce things at a cheaper cost than what's out there right now. So we can actually get these products to our community in such a way to where it's not going to break their pocket. Not going to break their pocket. Because right now it's going to break our pocket. We got no means for making this happen. And because we have no means for making it happen, it just becomes expensive right off the top. So while I'm on my journey, I'm gonna be walking out a bunch of information in a slow rolled manner so people can walk through it little bit by little bit. But I'm going to be asking for crowdfunding to develop products targeted to our needs and for our people on a non-profit basis. I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm trying to make a buck. Again, I'm not trying to make a buck off this. I got promises I made to my father and to my mother. And apparently the universe is giving me a healthy reminder as to get on that promise, because I got to deal with it myself now. You know what I'm saying? So part of my medicine that I'm dealing with in terms of healing me is trying to heal the community of the same issue. So I will be producing a line of products that fills big gaps in the market. There's things, like I'm saying, there's products our people need that they can't even get right now. If you got dioxin-based cancers, you can't even get the best of what I'm talking about. What's out there isn't potent enough. What's out there, let me tell you like this. Let me tell you why my father didn't make it, right? So the only mushrooms we were able to find to deal with the dioxins, we were only able to find powders. There's no one out there that makes them in an extract form. No one. And no one who makes them in a hot water extract form. He couldn't take them in a potent enough form to where he could do something quick enough. He had to take way too much of the powder. He couldn't ingest enough. If he could have taken the extracts, he could have taken far less and had far more results. That was something he wanted me to work on. So I'm gonna ask y'all to help me work on that for not just our people in the South dealing with the dioxin-based cancers, but our people who went to war for this country, went to fight for this country, and as my father said, were poisoned by this country with dioxins. Y'all already know the Operation Black Shield popping on. You see what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let me tell you straight up and down. My father had a Polish Jewish doctor as an oncologist, right? And they're having a conversation about dioxins and whatnot, and cancer treatments and all that type of stuff. And the Polish Jewish doctor breaks down the fact that he was dealing with he was doing special medical experiments during the Vietnam War in terms of like autopsying what came back, etc., all that type of stuff. And you already know what happened with people finding out what happened with the pineal gland, all that type of stuff, right? He was sitting there saying, check this out. We don't know how this stuff affects you guys. We don't test it on y'all. Talking about people of African descent. We're worried about understanding how it deals with us. And he was being dead honest. He wasn't trying to be racist. And he was like, look, we don't have the data on dealing with it. Like, he was trying to be upfront with my pop. We don't have the data on how this affects you. I do. I was able to find some stuff that was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking in terms of not only is it do some of them know, do certain people know how damaging dioxins are to our people in particular. Some people design them to be. So I'm saying we need to take the reins. We need to take the keys to the car. We need to take the wheel. And we need to design our own therapies on purpose for us to counteract agents that have been designed to attack us. And that right there is why I'm not trying to do this on a for-profit thing. I don't care about the profits. I'm talking about helping our people deal with these epidemics and whatnot. There's gaps in the market on purpose because we're not filling the gaps, but B, we're being kept from information that could even allow us to understand we can fill the gaps. I'm lucky. I live in one of the mushroom capitals of the world. I live in the Pacific Northwest. This is one of the hub of producing medicinal mushrooms in the world. Like, if I didn't live here, I wouldn't know about this stuff. If I wasn't introduced to some of the world's foremost mycologists, I wouldn't know about this type of stuff. I'm talking about people who lead in these studies. If I wasn't buying their books and having them sign my books and talking to them, I was like, I wouldn't know about this stuff. I'm lucky in that regard. Most of the people I talk to don't know nothing about this type of stuff. No matter what tradition you come from, no matter what race you come from. But I'll tell you this, the last people to know about it is our people. I know about it, so I'm trying to do my best to bring it to us. And not just bring it to us in a way that's beneficial to us. Growing mushrooms is one of the easiest things to learn how to do in the world. One of the easiest things to learn how to do in the world. It does not take much at all. As a matter of fact, it's easier. It is a million times easier than growing marijuana. For anybody who's done that, a million times easier. One person can take care of a lot more as well. It's crazy. At the same point in time, the profit margin on medicinal mushrooms is crazy. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So there's jobs in it for our people. That's not even an issue. The issue is we gotta start making it happen. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I want to develop products that specifically deal with blends that are specific to cancer types and the therapy needs that people need. A lot of the medicinal mushroom information that I've dealt with, the people who produce the information and also produce the medicinal mushrooms themselves, they know what blends do what best. They just don't put them together like that. So you have to buy things individually. So you have to spend more money to do it. I'm talking about putting them together already pre-packaged. So you don't have to buy them individually, depending on your cancer type. Like I want to take, for instance, I want to take the turkey tail, right? No matter what cancer I got, I want to take that. That's mandatory. But there's certain times I want to take more of this or more of the chalk and the birch polypore, etc. Right? If I have skin cancer, for instance, there's a particular blend that I want to put together for that I know that I'm going to need automatically once you understand what skin cancer is and what it does to the body. For instance, I'll say like this. There's more than what's going to be here, but I'll just say like this. I would need the turkey tail to label the cancer, right? I would need the chaga and the birch polypore to knock out the melanoma, right? I would also need something like this, like the reishi, as an anti-inflammatory, because, for instance, one of the things that happens in skin cancer is the skin actually starts to swell. It actually starts to inflame. So you need something to deal with that. That's what I mean by like a blend. And again, there's more that would go into it, but that out of the ones I got there, like that breaks down what I'm talking about. Like you're not going to just have like a one size fits all. I can do like a basic blend for cancer in and of itself, but there's different needs that different cancers have. Different needs that different cancers have. And so I'm talking about putting together products that are specific blends for specific types. I also want to focus on making products that are specific to the dioxin-related cancers, ravaging the South, specific to it. Like I said, I can't even get the top form of the mushroom necessary. I can't even get the extracts necessary to deal with this properly yet. All I can get is the mushroom powder. I'm going to be asking our people to help me crowdfund so we can actually develop the extracts that we need and develop them in-house. In the South at that. And wherever our people want to grow them and send them there. You feel what I'm saying? And again, like I said, I want to focus on specifically treating skin cancer amongst the African albinos or whatnot. Because no one's doing that. No one's doing that. Again, it breaks my heart to see what happens in the people. They live on average of 30 years over there in Africa. A 30-year lifespan. Right. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. So I'm trying to, long story short, like I said, while I'm on my journey of dealing with my own health issues, I'm going to be simultaneously trying to do this as payment to the universe and to whatever God you want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? In terms of me being able to be given the information to where I don't have to worry about my own cancer. I'm not scared in the least about dealing with my cancer because of information I know and information I've been able to implement time and time again. Time and time again, and seeing the results time and time again. I want to be able to give our community that level of certainty. I don't lose a single ounce of sleep over, oh my God, I have cancer. I want to be able to give our community that level of confidence. Because when you hear cancer, and I've watched it happen, I've watched it knock people down, like literally, they had took them off their feet when they, oh my God, clutched their chest and they had to sit down real quick, and it gets real serious. Cancer equals killer to people, and it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be in any way, shape, or form. It don't got to be some big dramatic thing you got to deal with either. And we definitely don't need to be in a situation to where our kids are starting to get cancer and leukemias and this, that, and third. No. So I'm going to do my best to not just treat myself, but show others how they can use adjuvant therapies to make their lives better and to increase their chances of of surviving cancer and keeping it away. And keeping it away. So I'm gonna cut it off right here, family. I got many more videos to make on this, breaking some stuff down. So please stay tuned for the following information: an in-depth breakdown on how the medicinal mushrooms specifically work in doing the things I listed above, and even more so. An in-depth breakdown on manufacturing and methodology in terms of how these mushroom products are made and why certain ones are not as good as others, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And why we need certain products that aren't being made and how they need to be made. I'm going to be covering specific adjuvant and adjunct therapies for specific types of cancer. So if you have a specific type, you want to know, hey, I'm already doing this over here. What else can I do with it? I'm going to do specific breakdowns on different types of cancer and the different adjuvant therapies that can be done with it in terms of mysotherapy. And you really need to stay tuned for this one because I'm going to be doing a product comparison of products that are already on the market. So you can find out what's going to be your best bang for your buck. If I only got so much money to spend, I'm in a situation, I live on a fixed income. I can't spend all kind of money on therapies and whatnot. I can only spend within a certain amount, whether I want to or not. So within that, I got to figure out how can I treat myself and do so in an effective manner. I'm able to do so because I know the product. I know how all these products are made from top to bottom. I know the methodology and whatnot. And so I also know how they're made cheaper and how they're made more expensive, etc. And I know what type of product I need, and I'm able to source out who makes it the best and who makes it the cheapest and whatnot. And so, and who gives you the best bang for what buck. And so I'm going to be doing a product comparison and breakdown with price, with methodology, and with results and whatnot, with potency and whatnot. So people can understand, okay, I'm not sponsored by anybody. Just so we're clear, I'm not sponsored by a single solitary company, and I don't want to be. I'm trying to make it to where we have our own for this. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not sponsored by anybody. That way, like I can clearly go through the top to bottom of these cats from all these manufacturers. Okay, this is the one you want to steer clear from because they're just giving you a lot of smoke in a box. And these people are giving you gold in a box for dirt cheap. So please stay tuned for that. And I'm also doing an in-depth breakdown on products that still need to be made. Still need to be made. If you have any questions on what I've been talking about in English, shape, or form, please get at me at unifiedsolutionsnetwork@gmail.com. You can check me out more so and a couple brothers on Unified Solutions TV on YouTube. You can find this particular Facebook note and information in our Facebook group page, public group page. It takes Unified Solutions. It takes Unified Solutions. There is a link for all this stuff in the description. So I appreciate you for all your time. Again, any questions you have, put it down below. And cancer does not have to be scary in any way, shape, or form. It does not have to paralyze you with fear. And it does not have to be expensive to treat. I want you to walk away understanding those things. I'm not afraid of dealing with my own cancer in any way, shape, or form because I know what cancer is and I know how to take it out. I know what it does and I know what works with that. And I want to be able to give our community that same level of confidence and the same level of solutions because I walked into too many cancer wards. Let me say it like this, man. I walked in the hella cancer wards with a bunch of rich white people in it, yeah? Dying. And the only thought in my head is like, if I can see these rich white people here in these wards, how many of my people need to be here that aren't here, that can't afford to be? I'm trying, and all across the country in my extended family, everybody's getting this stuff. Everybody knows somebody who got it, or somebody really close, and it's getting closer. It used to be like you could be 2 or 3 people away. No. Now it's in the house, or it's down the street. Everybody's getting that. So I'm gonna get my ish together in terms of getting crowdfunding and all that type of stuff sourced out or structured and whatnot, and done in a very transparent way, so there can be no question about what money's being spent on what, and so y'all can have as much faith in what I'm doing as I have in what I know works for cancer. I'm gonna work my damnedest to be as transparent as possible, because this needs to happen. And anybody who wants to help out, please do. Please do. I'm taking all suggestions and whatnot, because our people need the help. Our people need the help. These epidemics need to stop in our community. These health epidemics need to stop in our community. All the issue we're fighting about right now, this is not something any of us can fight about. We should all be able to, you know what, we need to knock this one out. If you've got other means besides this medicinal mushroom therapy, throw it at me. Let's do this together. You feel what I'm saying? Let's add it all up, and whatever works is what works. I know some things that work for certain. Other people know other things that work for certain. Things that have been tested, proven, laboratory tested, etc. Let's link up and make unified solutions for our people. It takes us, family. It takes us to make a unified solution. It takes us to make a unified solution. So with that, family, I say peace and love.
Yeah, so I made that video at the beginning of my treatment, and I'm a caretaker of elderly people in my family. I didn't miss a single day of work. I was a debater in the debate league where I had to debate 8 times. I made all my debates. I debated in the playoffs. I didn't have to miss out on anything because I was sick. And I'm still kicking it now, and ornery is all get out today. So I'm not, like, I wasn't just blowing smoke then, and I'm not blowing smoke now. There's many things that we need to do to help alleviate this cancer situation from our community. In many ways, we can work together on this. So real quick, I'm going to drop the link in the chat for whoever is watching. And if anybody wants to jump in real quick and ask some questions, feel free to do so. If no one jumps in, I'm going to jump into another video I made on the topic that specifically gets into the top mushroom on the list that I said if I found out I had cancer and I could only afford to take one mushroom, what would it be? So real quick, the link is in the chat for anybody who wants to jump on. If I'm not familiar with you, you will have to pop your camera on. And just remember that the rules on this platform is that there is no swearing, no foul language, etc., whatnot. But yeah, I'm definitely now in the situation to where I'm not debating anymore, so I can focus on doing what I said in this video that I showed. So I can focus on building the infrastructure, etc., whatnot. So at this juncture, I do discussions, I do builds, and I'm trying to build behind the scenes with people, and link arm in arm with people who I know I can build these structures with and whatnot. Shout out to y'all. Y'all know who you are. I appreciate y'all and everything that you do. Even when we can't link up, we can't see each other, we know that we're working simultaneously towards the same goals and whatnot. So I appreciate y'all and everything that y'all do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no one's jumping in. So what I'm gonna do here, family, is I'm going to play another video. It's not so short, but it's short enough. I'm going to play another video where I break down a specific mushroom and mycotherapy that I mentioned in this last video. This last video was more of like it covered a lot of stuff in terms of different mushrooms you could take for different things. This particular video, I get really in depth into the turkey tail mushroom. And like I said, if I had cancer and I could only take one, I could only afford to take one, it would be the turkey tail mushroom, and I break down why. So without further ado, family, let me just go ahead and share the screen one more again and get this popping on. Okay.
Orthodox more, aka the naturalist. And real quick, fam, I'm gonna do part 1 of a series on medicinal mushrooms that I told you I was gonna do in a previous video. This part 1 being on turkey tail mushroom, the turkey tail mushroom, and how it is a possible adjuvant therapy for cancer and for HIV. So first and foremost, I'm gonna keep this real short and sweet. I don't want to take too much time on this because I could be here all day breaking down all kind of stuff on turkey tail. But y'all don't got time like that. Y'all got lives to live, and places to go, people to see, people to take care of, people love, all that kind of stuff. So let me just get into it, and hopefully y'all can be edified by some stuff. So first and foremost, what is the turkey tail mushroom? What is the turkey? Let me just show you a picture real quick. First, why is it called the turkey tail mushroom? First of all, there's multiple varieties of turkey tail mushroom. Multiple varieties. Multiple. But pretty much you can see, no matter which one I'm looking at, they all have this particular formation to them and ringing to them. These ringed lines on them that make them look like a turkey's tail, or the tail of a turkey feathers. That's a great picture one right there. Looks like turkey feathers. All right. It's also commonly called cloud mushroom. It's also commonly called yuncha in Chinese medicine. It's also called kawaratake, in Japanese medicine. Its Latin name is Trametes versicolor. It's also known in Latin as Coriolus versicolor. It's also known in Latin as Polyporus versicolor. What it actually is a polypore mushroom. Polypore mushrooms are known as bracket fungi or shell fungi or conchs or wood conchs. These are mushrooms that you typically find commonly growing on deadwoods, hardwoods, and they perform a really unique and interesting function in nature. They break down trees and dead trees, make dirt, and in a lot of ways, they're the immune system of nature. They will take nutrients from dying trees, for instance, or nutrients from certain areas of the forest, and send it through a mycelial net all the way to another tree or to another part of the forest that needs it. Mushrooms are a very interesting organism. A lot of people don't understand how they grow and actually how big of a space they can cover. I'll actually break this down on another video, but mushrooms that you see above ground are typically called fruit bodies. What you don't see is the underground mycelial net that supports that fruit body, or the roots of the mushroom, so to speak. And these so-called roots can go for long distances, up and down multiple trees, and farther than what most people imagine. There's actually been recorded mycelial nets that have been, I believe, miles long. So they're a very interesting organism. Like I said, they're typically called like woodconch or something like that. A lot of people know them by that name. And when you see them on trees, conchs are very interesting. They're almost like, if you think about like a cancer tumor and the way cancer grows and the way cancer spreads, it actually grows very similar to how mushrooms grow and how the mycelial nets grow and how the woodconchs grow. However, they have a different modus operandi. They're programmed to do different things. So cancer is designed to reprogram its host to feed it what it wants, and it's designed to spread and metastasize and go undetected in the system and take over cells, this, that, and the third, appropriate new cells, proliferate, and then break you down. Mushrooms do a very similar thing in the sense where, like, if I take some of the culture from these mushrooms and I put it in a living tree, it will eat the tree. It will devour the tree from the inside out, and it will grow mushrooms like it's a tumor on the outside. Conchs grow like tumors, like I said. However, the difference is that that's if I inject the tree with the mushroom. Naturally, how it occurs is through a mycelial net, to where, again, they typically, not that they don't grow on living trees, but they typically grow on dying trees, dying or dead trees. So they'll still grow on a living tree, but typically it's a dying or dead tree. And the nutrients from that dying and dead tree, some of it's going into the fruit body, yeah, but there's a lot of aspects of it where it's getting transported from that tree through its mycelial net to other organisms, other plants, etc., other trees. I try to tell people a lot of times that mushrooms are the mother and mother nature in that sense, to where mushrooms are the one in nature, like these woodconchs are the one in nature, making sure that the forest is. These are like the white blood cells of the forest in a sense. But again, a really interesting way to think about them is that these woodconchs are, these polypores are like the other side of a coin of a tumor. They grow the same way, but they have the opposite effect and the opposite way of thinking. So I'm getting back into it. Again, turkey tails, again, is commonly grown on dead hardwoods like oak, aspen, and elm, and other woods. I live in an area where there's a lot of aspen, for instance. Alder as well. I should have put alder up there. Definitely should have put alder up there. A lot of alder in my area. I see turkey tail and alder all day up here. And it's an interesting mushroom in the sense to where it grows in every state in the U.S. Although it's not yet wildly found in Nevada. But like I got a homie in Georgia, right? He had this mushroom growing in his backyard off a tree. Like down the street from my house, there's somebody who got this grown off their post office box, the wood off their post office box. You know what I'm saying? I had a next door neighbor who had this grown out of a lilac tree. Next to it, down the street again, next to a fire station. There's turkey tail growing on a log. I got pictures on my phone of turkey tail growing down at the park, down the street from my house. I live in Washington State. I got a homie in Georgia, and from Washington State to Georgia, you can find this commonly. not a hard mushroom to find, and not a hard one to spot and identify, because of the fact that it looks like a turkey's tail. It's an edible mushroom. It has like a really leathery texture, so you don't really eat the mushroom, but it's edible in the sense that people boil it down or use a boiled liquid of it, or use the boiled liquid thereof, and they use it for soups and they use it for teas. Now they do so, they eat it like that, but typically they eat it like that knowing that it's a medicinal mushroom. And so while it's edible in that sense, I guess you could eat the leathery aspect of it, you just wouldn't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's mad fiber. Like these wood constants, they can get really woody in texture if they go to a certain level. A lot of them are actually edible and taste fantastic. Some of them taste like beef. Some of them taste like shrimp or fish. Some of them taste like chicken. Some of them taste like cashews and almonds. All kind of stuff. A lot of these end up tasting like some kind of legume or nuts when you cook them. They have a really interesting nutty flavor to them. If you are someone who's and I'm not talking about turkeys, I'm talking about just like polypores and conchs and whatnot, like certain families or certain types. And I'll get into the edible ones later in a whole nother video. But what's interesting is a lot of these mushrooms can be edible and medicinal, and they can taste fantastic. But moving right along. So what are the medicinal benefits of the turkey tail mushroom? This is the part that I really wanted to focus on, and I'll walk through this real slow. Because this is a real important part for people to understand, and why I'm talking about it being a potential adjuvant therapy or adjunct therapy for cancer and HIV. A lot of people, when they find out they have cancer, it's a kick in the stomach. It's a punch in the stomach like you wouldn't believe. It sits you down and it makes you really reassess a lot of things, because cancer equals killer in most people's mind. And the biggest reason why I'm making these videos is so that people can recover from that gut punch, because when they hear cancer, they're conditioned to get that gut punch. I'm not as scared as the average individual, because I'm aware of the information I'm about to tell you here and some other information I'm about to tell you later. And so I've had multiple conversations with people who just found out they had cancer. I had this conversation with myself as well. You know what I'm saying? As I've recently found out I have cancer. But you don't have to be scared when you find out that you have cancer. There's really no big reason why you should be scared. And the only reason why you are scared is because you're not being told certain things in certain ways to how you can potentially approach cancer. So I'm going to do my best to give people a different set of options here in terms of understanding. Again, an adjuvant therapy is not the main therapy that one uses. It's an add-on therapy. An adjunct therapy is an add-on therapy. So what I'm going to show you here is an adjuvant therapy that you can start right off the top, the same day you find out you have cancer. And you don't really have to worry no more. So whatever other form of main treatment that you choose, this adjuvant therapy can help you right off the top to where you don't have to worry no more. And here's why. Turkey tails contain multiple protein-bound polysaccharides found beneficial in medical study. It contains specifically the polysaccharide PSK, commercially produced as KRESTIN in China and Japan and in Asia. Now, KRESTIN, you need to understand this. KRESTIN has already made several hundreds of millions, if not billions at this point, in sales as an approved anti-cancer drug in Asia. This right here, KRESTIN, this is already being used in Japan, China, and other places in Asia. This is already an approved cancer drug in Asia. Okay, It is derived from the turkey tail mushroom, KRESTIN. It's not, this ain't a synthetic. This is the turkey tail. You feel what I'm saying? Right now, there's actually clinical trials going on in America right now to try to make a comparable drug as a pharmaceutical, not as a supplement, but as an actual pharmaceutical drug. KRESTIN is a pharmaceutical drug in Asia, used as an anti-cancer. Why is it used as an anti-cancer? And why is it making hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions at this juncture? Because in studies, PSK is shown to have anti-metastatic properties. And I'm listing the studies here, so y'all can go check this out. Y'all don't gotta take my word for nothing. Y'all can go check this out for yourself. What are anti-metastatic properties? When cancer starts to spread, they call that metastasizing. When it goes from one place to another in the body and takes over that new place, that's called metastasizing. PSK is a polysaccharide in the turkey tail mushroom, commercially being sold in Asia as KRESTIN. And one of the reasons why is because it has anti-metastatic properties, i.e. it slows down metastasis. And if you take enough of it, it can really significantly deal with the concept of cancer not spreading. So day one, you find out that you have cancer as a potential adjuvant therapy. You can start taking this, and you can be like, you know what? You can start breathing easy because you can look at science saying that it has anti-metastatic properties. It can slow down, if not stop, metastasis. Then at the very least, it's going to aid you in that, in some way, shape, or form. PSK in studies has also shown to have chemoprotective properties. Chemoprotective properties. What does that mean? So cancer, what it does is it takes over cells. It'll take a healthy cell, metastasize, cling on to that cell, reprogram that joint, and make it a cancerous cell now. And now it's doing the bidding of the cancer. You feel what I'm saying? What chemoprotective properties do, the chemoprotection that it gives is what it does. It actually covers it makes it to where the cancer cannot take over the new cell. It protects the healthy cells from actually becoming cancerous. So the day you find out you get cancer, you can find some form of PSK, and again, not only understand that you're beginning an anti-metastatic adjuvant therapy on yourself, but you're also giving yourself a chemoprotective therapy, i.e. Adjuvant therapy, i.e. You're making sure the cancer is not spreading. You're doing something day one to make sure to help the cancer not spread. You're doing something day one to help protect your healthy cells that have not already been infested with cancer. Again, your day one, you can know that you're doing something to help stop the spreading of the cancer cells, and then you can also know that you're doing something to protect the cells that are already healthy still and have not been touched by the cancer, so that they won't get cancer. Now, here's another reason why this concept, or this PSK or KRESTIN, is an approved anti-cancer drug in Asia. PSK in studies has been shown to have sensitizing properties. Sensitizing is a big deal when it comes to cancer, because cancer goes unseen in the system. And so even if you're on regular just chemo and radiation, etc., right? This has been shown in studies. PSK, what it does is it'll cling. Long story short, it'll cling to the cancer cells that are being unseen by the body's natural killer cells or white blood cells that want to take out the cancer in the body. The body knows that it's there. It can detect it. It just can't see it. It can feel it. It can feel it. It's there. It can see. It's like, hey man, something's going on. But the white blood cells are on patrol. But they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. You feel what I'm saying? They're. It's almost like they're sleeping on the job, but they're not sleeping on the job because they're going right past these joints, but they can't see them. What the PSK does is it sensitizes, i.e., it binds to the cancer cell and makes it to where either the chemotherapy or the radiation, etc., or the white blood cells themselves can actually see the cancer and do work, go to town on them. They can lead the charge and just call it a day, right? They not call it a day like it's all done over, but I'm saying call it a day in the sense where like they don't got to worry about not seeing the cancer right there. When it's being sensitized, it can do something about it. Whatever, either the immune system, the natural immune system, or whatever other main source of therapy you're doing, the PSK will help you in terms of helping that therapy or your body see the cancer and deal with it. So the concept of these adjuvant therapies is the fact that they won't be disruptive to what any other form of therapy that you choose to use. It will actually help. It'll at the very least be neutral and not affected, or you're going to find that they amplify. And in this sense, you're going to find that for instance, PSK, if nothing else, amplifies whatever you're dealing with in terms of an anti-cancer, the known anti-cancer therapies and treatments. So as an adjuvant therapy, turkey tail and PSK will not only not interfere, it will help out even a little bit more. What else does it contain? It contains a polysaccharide called PSP, which is a highly water-soluble constituent. I'm gonna break that down in a second as to why it's important to know. PSP in studies has been shown to inhibit HIV replication in vitro. There's a big thing to understand about in vitro and in vivo, etc. In other cases, I'll break that down on a whole other video. But what this means is, if you have HIV, at the very least, as an adjuvant therapy, something that you add on to whatever you're taking, the PSP will help in some way, shape, or form inhibit the replication of HIV in your system. I'm not saying it's the one-stop shop, but as an adjuvant therapy, none of the adjuvant therapies are a one-stop shop. They help out other things. But if you have HIV, it's beneficial to know that PSP has been shown in studies to inhibit the replication of HIV in vitro. And again, you can see the study. When you go further in understanding that, it contains a polysaccharide peptide, it contains polysaccharide peptides CVP and RSPS. It's refined version. And the interesting thing about these particular polypeptides is that they show anti-tumor and immunomodulating properties. They will help make the tumor go away. And this concept of immunomodulating properties is the fact that modulation is a very big deal when it comes to medicinal things, in the sense to where modulators, they're almost, think of them like traffic guards. They keep the flow of things proper. Like they make sure things don't get gunked up and whatnot. Like, so for instance, they'll make sure that there's enough of something and not too much of something. Modulators are very good for that. And when it comes to medicine, it's nice having a little bit of wiggle room, in the sense to where you don't ever want to do too much. You know what I'm saying? Because too much can have a lot of bad issues, bad side effects and whatnot. And you don't want to do not enough, because not enough doesn't treat the issue. So modulators help in naturally finding a balance. So when it comes to cancer and whatnot, There's different type of cells that go out and do certain jobs and whatnot in terms of fighting cancer. And so once, for instance, you have a sensitizing happening, for instance, with the PSK, to where like, okay, now the system knows what's going on, or it can start doing some stuff. All right, cool. Now you want to make sure you have enough troops on the field, and not too many troops on the field, so they're not standing on top of each other. That's the importance of like modulators and whatnot. Is they try to bring out just the right amount of troops in the field. And again, you can see the studies for that. It also contains, the turkey tail also contains the polypeptide SPVC, shown to significantly inhibit the growth of leukemia cells. Significantly inhibit the growth of leukemia cells. And again, you can go check out the study for that yourself. So that, for instance, like in Asia, that KRESTIN drug, it's used for, I believe, lung cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, sarcoma, carcinoma. Here it's being studied to help, like it's shown to be very effective against breast cancer, prostate cancer, etc. There's a reason why it makes as much money as it does. It's effective. As an adjuvant therapy, it's effective. So day one, I just want y'all to know this, day one, the day you find out you have cancer, before you've done any other therapy in terms of like, before you've done your first radiation treatment, before you've taken your first chemotherapy, etc., no matter what form you take, before you have any surgery, etc., if you choose to go that route, before you go the alternative route, for instance, right? As an adjuvant, something you can add on to it. I'm not saying the main base form, but something you can add on to it that you know it can start giving you some peace of mind knowing, bam, I'm taking something that has anti-metastatic properties, it's keeping the cancer from spreading. I'm taking something that has chemoprotective properties. See what I'm saying? Chemoprotective properties. So I'm protecting the healthy cells that don't have cancer. I'm doing something for that, right? And I'm doing something to sensitize the cancer in my system to where my system can see it, and it also whatever other form of therapy I choose to use, that's non-invasive, I guess. Non-invasive being non-surgical. That whatever form of therapy I choose to use, that's going to be like maybe the hormone therapy, gene therapy, the chemo, whatever. Like, you know, like I know I'm doing something to help my body help that see the cancer as well. Help that have a better effect with the cancer as well. I got to double check about the hormone therapy. Don't quote me on that one. But again, the study I do quote, it does talk about the sensitizing helping with chemotherapy, etc. So at the very least, day one, family, I want y'all to know, you don't got to, like, once you get that kick in the stomach, that punch in the gut, yeah, you're gonna get the wind knocked out of you, but here's a little bit of air for you. There's a little bit of oxygen. Just breathe real quick. It ain't that bad. Doesn't have to be that bad. There's something that you can have access to right now that's already an approved cancer drug, pharmaceutical in Asia. Again, already there. Already on that status. Already on that status, you dig? So it's not like it's like a rinky-dink kind of adjuvant, right? You can know that there's a lot of studies that have happened that have gone into this, which is again why this is a multi-million, several hundreds of millions in sales already, if not billions at this point, because that's an old number. That's an old number. And again, The pharmaceutical companies are doing their best in this country now to try to do the same thing. And I do believe they're trying to do it with a non-natural, with the synthetic version. The synthetic version. You can take the natural version for dirt cheap. For dirt cheap in comparison to cancer drugs, etc. And I'll do another video where I do a price comparison in terms of how they're manufactured in a consumer, almost like a consumer report on the different types of manufacturing styles and potencies and all that type of stuff, and the best bang for the buck, etc. But again, I can't stress this enough. Day one, you can confidently start doing something that you know will at the very least help you in stopping the spread, the metastasis of the cancer. You know that you can do something that will help protect the healthy cells. It will help the body to see what's going on. And if you get the proper breakdowns and whatnot, you can even get some anti-tumor and some immunomodulating effects, etc. That's some really important stuff to understand. I can't stress that enough. Already an approved cancer drug. You see this? Expiration date, 2007. You know what I'm saying? That's a minute ago, fam. How many people you know since 2007 got cancer? How many people you know since 2007 had got that punch in the gut, that sit down? They heard that C word and killer just flashed, I'm dead, just flashed through their mind. How many people you know since 2007? Did you know that in 2007 that there was an approved cancer drug that they could have started taking right off the top? Or the equivalent thereof here? Before they get scheduled for anything else? It gives them a better fighting chance. I've known a lot of people since 2007. A lot of people. Family. Friends. And now myself. You know what I started doing? I started mega dosing this. Mega dosing this. Look at this here, right? You can find all kind of different forms of this stuff here, right? I found I'll show you the form I used at one point in time, but like again, mega dosing it. Because I know it does this here. I know it does that there. So real quick, on day one, if you're armed with this information, when you go to find some consumer products or whatnot that contain what you're looking for, there's some things you need to know, because not everything is made or created equal in this. So this is the last part that I want y'all to focus on. I apologize if I ran this on too long. I kind of get a little passionate about this stuff. I feel some kind of way about this topic because, like I said, I've known a lot of people who heard that C word, and it just changed. It changes your life forever. You don't wake up the same. And I knew people who were afraid, and it really affected how they dealt with it. And I knew people who knew what I was talking about, jumped on it. And it changed how they were able to deal with their situation dramatically. I'm saying you're not going to beat cancer being scared. You're going to have to find some moment of resolution. I can tell you that right now. All the people that I've seen beat cancer, they're telling me they had to bite down and hunker down and make like, okay, I will not go softly into that good night. I will rage at the dying of the light. this is one way you can rage. And if you're going to rage at the dying of the light, there's something you need to know. Hot water extracts dried into a powder can contain both PSK and PSP. You can find them like basically together, because like this is where I told you PSP is very water soluble. I.e., it can be extracted very well in water extractions. So you can find hot water extracts that have been dried into an extract powder. This is a very, very concentrated, potent form. They can contain both PSK and PSP. However, they can also be specifically labeled and separated to where the hot water extracts can be dried into a powder and can be isolated to where it's separate. You can get a bottle of PSK and a bottle of PSP. In terms of finding it in a capsule form, because you're typically going to find these powders in a capsule form. Sometimes you can find them the extract powders. Sometimes you can find them in bags and whatnot. That's fantastic. But you can find the specific extracts of PSK and PSP sometimes in separate, isolated form. That's a fantastic thing when you know what you need, and you know what you want to focus on. Moving on, the hot water extracts with the glycerin base, this is still liquid, can contain, again, both PSK and PSP. And the hot water extracts with the glycerin base can also be isolated. So if you're looking for one versus the other, you want to find isolates. You don't want to find just the regular, or just as turkey tail, because you're gonna get more of other things than what you're just looking for. So if you want to be specific about it, you can try to find isolates. There's certain times you want both. Certain times you want both, so you do want to take both at the same time, or you do want to take you can take the isolates together, or you can take the just the extracts of the turkey tail in the manners here where it's hot water extracted and get both. Now the non-hot water extracts with an alcohol base will still contain bioavailable PSK. Meaning bioavailable, meaning that it's just absorbable to the body. Right? But again, the non-hot water extracts with an alcohol base, it has far less bioavailable PSP. So again, PSP is highly water soluble. It's not something that gets pulled out very well in alcohol. So like if you get just the turkey tail like with an alcohol base to it, you're most likely going to get more PSK than anything. Again, not a bad thing if that's what you're looking for. But if you're getting it thinking that you're getting PSP, you're not really getting it, because you need the hot water extracted form of that. Now another form that a lot of people try to turn to because it's the cheapest form are the dry. And this is the funny part is they are the cheapest form, but you can actually find some of the hot water extracts that are dried into a powder that are actually the same price as this right here. And it's easy to get them confused. So I want you to pay attention to this. There's dried hot water extract powders, or dried extract powders. I'll just leave it at that. Dried extract powders. And then there's dried mushrooms ground into a powder. The dried mushrooms ground into a powder are a far more inferior product to the extract. This is like this would be like the difference between like hay and hemp. You know what I'm saying? Like hemp being like the hot water extract dried into a powder, and the hay being the dried mushroom. Like if you feed your animals hay, right? They'll survive. It'll get them through. But if you want them to be robust, you give them a more robust feed. So let's say I give them hemp or nettles or something like that, right? These have been shown to be a superior feed to hay. If I have it available to me at the same price as the hay, I should give my animals a superior feed. I should do the same thing for myself when it comes to medicine. These dried mushrooms, like they're a really cheap form of things, right? But if you're trying to have an adjuvant therapy, you have to use a very large amount of the dried mushrooms to have a beneficial effect. And if you actually have an illness going on or something that's going on, it's hard. A lot of times it's hard to actually digest that amount of dried mushrooms. Very, very fibrous, and it will, and as someone once told me, it can make the bowels a little bit loose if you have to take a lot of it. I can also tell you this, that there was a loved one that had my father. He was able to take the PSK extracts and whatnot, and cancer wasn't his issue. He got hit with the dioxin, Agent Orange and whatnot, and so he was taking we found a mushroom that actually that broke up Agent Orange, broke up the dioxins. But what we found was only the dried mushroom form. We weren't able to find a hot water extract, either in a glycerin base or in a liquid form or in a dried powder form. So we weren't able to actually give him the most potent form he could find. And so, not that it didn't help, it just couldn't help enough. I could have given him a mountain load of this stuff because it was the dried mushroom. He wouldn't have been able to digest it, and he wouldn't have been able to get enough of the proper constituent out of it. So I want y'all to pay attention to the fact, like when you're buying this stuff, look at the labeling and make sure you want it to say extract if you can get it. You know what I'm saying? If you cannot, the dried mushroom is better than nothing. You see what I'm saying? It's definitely better than nothing. But again, I will be doing a video breaking all that down, breaking down all the different consumer report kind of concepts on it. I'm going to leave it there for right now. And I want to tell y'all that I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And again, I just want to leave y'all with this. I got some people that I know who are worried about, because they're worried about what they would be feeling, what they'd be going through if they heard the cancer word. And I love them for their concern. I love them for their concern. I also got people that are really close to me, like my mother and other people, and people who know what I know. They're not afraid, because they've had this help themselves. They've used this adjuvant therapy themselves, and they know its own. They know how effective it can be. So I'm sitting here with the full knowledge that I have cancer, but I'm not scared. I have a calm frame of mind moving forward, dealing with this and confronting the many different things I have to change about my life. For instance, a lot of people understand that you got to change a lot of dietary things, you got to change a lot of stress things, you got to change a bunch of stuff to be able to counteract this stuff properly, right? So one of the nice things about these adjuvant therapies is while you're figuring out the proper therapy to get done, you're still doing something in the meantime that's proactive. Like I don't have the monetary means to necessarily switch my diet to what I need to right now, right? So I'm making slow moves, and I'm also making other moves to get the monetary means there, right? So in the meantime, here's the adjuvant therapy that I can still afford. Like I live on a very fixed income, and I can still afford to take this. I can still afford to take a hot water extract of the turkey tail mushroom. It's not a PSK isolate, but there's PSK in that joint. Now, at one point, if I can free up a little bit more money, I can jump straight to the isolate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's ways to walk up this. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, as my father always told me. So with that, family, I just want to tell you, like, You can do something the day you find out that you have cancer, even before you've really mapped out what way you're going to go. And it can be just as simple as dropping something under your tongue, putting something, a couple of drops in some water, or taking a capsule. So below, I've put in the description, I've put all my notes, and I've put links to how you can get at me via email, and also a direct link to the Facebook group that has that file in it. It's an open Facebook page, Facebook group. It's public. So please come through. If you have any questions, get at me. I'm not a doctor. I don't treat anybody. I'm not trying to treat anybody. I'll tell you how I treat myself. I'll tell you what I do for myself in terms of therapy, and what I would do if I was in a certain situation. But again, I invite all of you to go check out those studies that are listed. I'm not making up the information that's there. I'm using the information that's there. And again, I just want y'all to understand on day one, you can take something that's already an approved anti-cancer drug in Asia. And with that, I say, do not go softly into that good night, but rage at the dying of the light. In peace and love.
Yeah. And so I made that video again. These videos I made over a year ago, family. I did not take chemotherapy. I did not take radiation. I was not able to have the cleanest diet due to monetary means, etc., like I mentioned there. But I am still here kicking it ornery. You know what I'm saying? Just fine. Just fine. I watched that lump I found shrink into nothing. I watched my energy levels return. I was able to put on weight. In fact, I need to lose some weight at this juncture. But all I took were those adjuvant therapies there. They were my base therapy. For me, they were my base therapy. That they were all I took. I still take turkey. I take turkey every day as something to keep myself in remission. Because, like I said, what it does is it allows the body to label the cancer cells so that the white blood cells, the natural killer cells, the NK cells, they see them. So typically, when you have cancer screenings or whatnot, they'll tell you that there's a certain point where like the cancer still might be there, but they can't see it. There's a certain level to where like they'll say that you're in remission, but it's actually like we don't know if we got it. That's why they have to have you keep coming back every 6 months, etc., whatnot, because they gotta, or once a year, etc., because they gotta check to see if it's starting to grow again, because they might not have killed all of it. It might have been enough to be able to just hold on enough to slowly grow again. So yeah, I take turkey tail every day, so I don't have to worry about that. So I don't have to worry about that. But I'm not going to keep y'all here too much longer. Yeah, just one more time, man. Shout out to the brother. He definitely died way too young, and it's a sad, sad thing because he did not have to. He did not have to. My condolences to his family, to all his fans, to all his friends, and all his loved ones. I've known almost everyone I know has had to bury somebody younger than what they should have. And that's a really sad thing to have to go through. Particularly when you see someone who has a lot of potential going forward and whatnot. And so in an attempt to not rob our community of its potential, I'm trying to help save that potential through this kind of information here. I'm in further products that I'll be letting you know of, to where I'm trying to build the infrastructure for these products that I've been talking about for our people. But with that, I'm not going to keep you. It's a beautiful day where I'm at. I'm hoping it's beautiful where you're at. Stay safe, stay sound, stay whole. Peace and love, family.